Okay, now we're going to work with an ellipse, but we're still going to have to complete the square. Not that kind of square right there. All right, we're going to sketch this graph, but in order to sketch it, we have to complete the square. So the first thing I probably want to do is rewrite this, putting all the x's together and all the y's. That's kind of always my first step. Now, I'm going to also do this. I'm going to rewrite it and put a little space in between my x's here and my y's. Now notice I also did this. When doing this, I have to have the y squared by itself. Notice the x squared is already by itself, so I didn't have to do anything here. But here it is. So I have to take a divide by 4 to get rid of it. Well, I'm really not dividing by 4. I'm just pulling a 4 out, kind of like a distributed property. But if I pull a 4 out of here, I also want to pull a 4 out of that number, because I need to be able to multiply this number by all my y value stuff. And notice I took the positive 9 and moved it to the other side, just to make things a little easier for us. And I left a space right here to put some values in, because we're going to complete the square. Now, here's the nice part. To complete the square, all I have to do is look at that number right there. I've talked about this before if you've listened to my other lessons. To complete the square, you take that number and you divide it by 2. And that's 3. And that's what's going to go in my parentheses. But what's 3 squared? 9. So I need to add 9 to each side. Notice I added 9 to each side. Okay. Now I need to complete the square here. What is the number right there? It's negative 2. Divide that by 2, which makes it negative 1, which I have to square. Equals 1. But notice I put a 1 there, but 4 there. Why did I put 4 here and a 1 there? Well, this whole value is being multiplied by what? 4. So I really added 4. That's why I put 4 there. So here's what I know. Let's simplify this. First off, my 9's are going to cancel. And the reason, now see that 3 right there? Notice it became that 3 right there. And this negative 1 became that right there. That's why it's called completing the square. Because if I square this quantity, I get that up there, x squared plus 6x plus 9. And that number doubled, always makes that. That's why I cut it in half to find the 3. And then I had that, I squared it to get the number that's added there so that it works out perfectly. That's why it's called completing the square. Because I found the number that completes the square. I found the number that completes the square. In this case here, it was negative 1. All right, the 9's canceled, so I have a 4. Now, what's true about ellipses? I need that number to be 1. So now I need to divide it by everything by 4. And notice if I divide this by 4, I have this here. Divide this whole quantity by 4. Now what's got 4 over 4 is going to become 1. That 4 is going to become 1. So here's what I have. Ooh, I just wrote a formula for an ellipse. I know the center of the ellipse. All right. I have a major axis is under the x because it's larger. The minor axis is right there. That would be my A, and that would be my B, right? Because the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of 1 is 1. So the center is at, remember they're inside liars, so it's negative 3, 1, because it was a positive 3 minus 1 inside here. The major axis was, I said, at going to be 2, and the minor axis is going to be 1. Okay, so we know the major axis is also horizontal. So I'm going to go over here, and if I want to graph it, here's what I know. The center's negative 3, 1. Okay, so it's over 3, up 1. Okay, I know my major axis, well, the minor axis in this case is sorry, the major axis is 2 because it was horizontal. Notice I moved 2 away from each of those. I'm going to move my vertical axis up 1 from each of those, and then connect the little outside dots. There, I just sketched that ellipse. Now this one was a pretty tiny one. You wouldn't have thought that from all those big numbers up there. But notice, to graph it, I completed the square to find the center, and also help me find the major and minor axis to make it very easy to graph and sketch.